Bosses are meant to be challenging. They're meant to test the skill and knowledge you've earned throughout your time playing the game, and they're meant to be satisfying to conquer. But some bosses are just plain unfair, and sometimes even completely unbalanced to the point of just being flat out broken. Hey guys, ArcadeCloud here, and today we're counting down our top 10 hardest bosses in video games. If you're new to our channel, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with some friends. It's free. Just a quick reminder for everybody watching, if you haven't played one of the games that we're about to list off, you might want to skip over the number if you don't want anything spoiled. Just an FYI. I mean, these are boss battles we're talking about here, so they're kind of end game scenarios. Starting us off today at number 10, we have the M. Bison fight from Street Fighter Alpha 3. Now, M. Bison is a pretty difficult boss for many Street Fighter games, but this specific game seems particularly difficult compared to the rest. Some fans of the franchise even call this fight a little bit broken. Bison moves so quickly and he uses his special so often it's pretty infuriating actually. The extent to which you get your butt handed to you by this guy is at least moderately rage-inducing. And remember, if you're unlucky enough to be playing the arcade version, you only get one shot to beat this guy before you have to fork over more quarters. Hope you've got your combos down pat, buddy. At number 9, we have the Yellow Devil from Mega Man. An iconic boss, as it's often shown in marketing materials for Mega Man and was featured in the Mega Man stage in Smash 4. This boss is tough. He splits himself into smaller pieces that you have to dodge as they move from one side of the screen to the other. Once he reassembles himself on the other side, you can land a hit on him again, and once you do, he splits up again. Repeat this pattern over and over for a long and tedious fight, and you've got yourself a real difficult one. Gutsman's weapon is a necessity for this fight, as landing any significant damage when he's open to be attacked is almost impossible without it. Get those lightning bolts flying because you're gonna need them. At number 8, we've got Psycho Mantis.
Psycho Mantis.
Inside jokes aside, this boss battle is actually pretty difficult to figure out. Since he's a mind reader, he can anticipate your next moves and dodge them. How does he do that though? Well, he can read your every controller input and anticipate your attacks, making it near impossible to hit him and making it near impossible to dodge his attacks. He's very, very difficult to beat without discovering his weakness. So how do you beat him? By plugging your controller into the second controller port so he can't read your inputs anymore. Oh, Kojima, you big cutie, you. Your hatred of the fourth wall and game design conventions are admirable. For his ingeniously weird idea here, this boss lives on in history as one of the most unique bosses ever created, for sure. It deserves the number 8 spot on this list for his absurd difficulty before finding out his secret. And at number 7 we have Delirium from The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. The final boss fight in this game, Delirium is a tough baddie to beat. Not only can it turn into almost any other boss on a whim, but it doesn't take damage when it's in the form of another boss. So you have to continually fire for a good while before actually being able to damage it. And oh boy, is this boss tough as nails. With 10,000 base health, it's a few thousand HP stronger than Hush, the boss fight that you thought was the hardest in the game. This boss is just a massive damage sponge, and it tries to turn you into one too. Not only do you have to try to kill the bosses that Delirium turns into, but you also have to avoid its own attacks while avoiding the attacks of the boss that it's imitating. The amount of bullet hell in this battle can even put Japanese shooters to shame, so try to stretch your fingers a bit before completely destroying your W, A, S, and D keys. At number 6, we have Mike Tyson from Punch-Out! Not the re-release of Punch-Out!, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!. Mike Tyson from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!. Got it? No? Good. Speaking of confusing and disorienting, this battle is entirely that. This fight will test even the most skilled Punch-Out! Players, changing up how certain mechanics work slightly, and requiring 100% focus and attention. Right now you're watching a task video of the fight. What's a task video? Well, it's a tool-assisted speedrun, or in simpler terms, it's a way to have a robot play a game and have it make absolutely no mistakes. Your average Joe, or should I say Glass Joe, wouldn't be able to do this without pinpoint accuracy and perfect timing. Not to mention the months, maybe years of practicing to get this fight down perfectly. To prove my point here, not even Mike Tyson can beat Mike Tyson. He failed miserably when asked to try on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. At number 5, we've got Absolute Virtue from Final Fantasy XI. For those who don't know, Final Fantasy XI is an online game, not a single-player adventure, and follows the rules of boss battles of most MMOs. Mainly that you need a lot of people to collaborate in an attack in order to take down bigger bosses. And you'll most certainly need all the collaboration you can get for this one, as the boss, before nerfs of course, took about 18 hours in order to kill. Virtue would often regenerate health in an instant, making the battle take a ridiculously long time. The battle was famous for taking so much time that people would get physically ill from playing too long in one go, so the developers added a 2-hour time limit for bosses. If you can't manage to kill Absolute Virtue in 2 hours, you lose the battle. So you have to give it your all and make sure you come prepared and with the team if you want to stand a chance against this insane damage sponge. At number 4, we have Sans' Genocide Run battle from Undertale. Yes, I'm sure plenty of you were expecting this battle on the list, and for good reason. This one is very, very difficult, but it's not impossible. Sans does very predictable attacks for each part of the fight, so you slowly build mastery at completing all of the different attack sequences until you're finally able to overcome his final attack. Since it's Undertale, it's all based on dodging projectiles and moving objects in a small confined area using the arrow keys. Personally, I still haven't beaten him to this day. I've gotten close, but he's just so ludicrously difficult. The battle even breaks the typical battle rules, as not only do his attacks hurt you pretty bad, but they also poison you, doing more damage over time. So you have to manage your health constantly, and make sure you have plenty of healing items to rely on. Any second that's spent healing instead of attacking is another sequence you have to survive, as the battle only progresses with each attack you put out. This is a long one, but some people have memorized this battle perfectly and can pull it off without taking a hit. And starting off our top 3, we have King Dice from Cuphead. One of the more recent entries, King Dice is notoriously difficult. The battle works like this. You parry a die and move that many spaces on the board game in the background. There's 9 different mini-bosses that you potentially have to fight based on what spaces you land on. And at the end of all of these spaces, before the real fight, is a start over space. So if you're unfortunate enough to land on it, you start the battle over from the beginning, making all of your progress worthless. Most of the mini-bosses aren't particularly difficult, but the fact that you have to get through them before fighting King Dice himself on the same health bar you have during the entire fight makes this one a truly hair-pulling challenge. Some of the spaces you land on will give you extra health, because without it, nobody would ever really finish this fight. You best hope your parrying skills are astounding, because you're going to need them to surf through the lines of cards that King Dice throws your way. Coming in at number 2, we have Ornstein and Smough from Dark Souls. What's more difficult than fighting a Dark Souls boss? Fighting 2 Dark Souls bosses at once. If you're not paying attention to your surroundings constantly in this fight, you might miss one of the boss's telegraphs, meaning you have to pay attention to both of them at the same time. Once you finally manage to dispose of one of them, the other one that's left over will absorb the power of the one you just killed, making the remaining boss even more difficult. So just when you think you managed to get halfway through this slaughterfest, reality sets in that this game was, in fact, created by From Software. In the second phase, the range of their weapons reach much farther, making the time frame you have to land any hits on them even shorter-lived. It doesn't really matter which one you kill off the start, because both of them are pretty capable of kicking your butt after you destroy either one of them. And finally, at number 1, we have the pre-patch Cthulhu from World of Warcraft. This boss will live on throughout gaming history as one of the most ludicrously difficult bosses of all time. Nobody, not even the strongest guilds in all of WoW, were able to take this broken boss down. His laser eye could take out anyone in its path in a single hit. The laser could do up to an astounding 5 million damage to anything it touched, and it drove hardcore raiders insane, throwing themselves at the boss over and over and being absolutely demolished every time. There were even tentacles that would kick players up into the air, killing them instantly from falling damage when they landed. In his original pre-nerfed state, killing him was actually mathematically impossible. It actually took 90 days for Blizzard to realize that this boss was flawed in design, and eventually they patched him. That same day, a guild finally took the ancient god down, and Cthulhu's reign of terror was over. And there you have it, our list of the top 10 hardest bosses in video games. Do you agree? Did we miss something? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe for more great videos from ArcadeCloud on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Take care and game on.